Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to our show. Doing well, having a wonderful day on this 14th April 25. It's early morning. I'm not gonna be up for a long time. I just want to be up for when we film the videos, right? So then we're going to sleep. So without further ado, let's go. And we'll be doing a little bit magic. So I'm going to see corn. What I'll do this. So that's the stream. There you go. Archie and Prop Arch. Good. 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 Okay, perfect. Okay, so now, let's do this. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to my show. So you all having a wonderful day on this 14th April 25. Today is Monday. Today is checking my weight, checking the weigh in. It's super early in the morning, 7:30 to be exact. But I got a call for a little job with Bedard, so I gotta wake up early, right? We went to sleep at 2:30, and yeah. So if you're enjoying this, we have to wait until 1 o'clock to leave. But I want to recap that way I could do a little bit of video, that way I could upload. Oh my god! So there we are. It's gonna be a beautiful day. It's gonna be a really, really, really wonderful day. So super stoked about that, and that's pretty much it. So I want Sean to come in on here, show you the sun, wish you a great day, tell you that I love you, and I know these videos aren't the most purposeful, but again, lately we've been focusing too much on purpose. Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What if you were doing this because that was the right thing to do? But then, would it be nice? I think it would be. Anyway, enough with the video. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to a movie review. We haven't done one in a while, and the movie that we're reviewing is actually a really good movie. So we're reviewing Edge of Tomorrow. It is early morning. We got a tower here. We're also filming nature, which is gorgeous. We're having a sip of coffee because it's still very early in the morning, which is the sunrise. Edge of Tomorrow, movie with Tom Cruise, right? Edge of Tomorrow is this amazing story. So when I was at work, right, you guys know about listening to music at work, and it's kind of funny because the very first thing that I did at work was listen to music, right? And then we listened to music for a year and a half, 2 years. And then we started listening to podcasts, and then we listened to podcasts for a year. And then for the rest of the 8 years, I wanted to do some audiobook. So some of the audiobook was a lot of light novel, a lot of mangas, because again, you can find them for free on YouTube, right? And then I found one of them, and I forgot the name. But it was really good. It was about a guy that would revive, and it was this person called the Formidable Bitch, and she was the strongest warrior in the class against a common enemy, right? So I'm listening to this, and it's 5 hours, and it's great. And then for some reason, I don't remember why, I can't find the file anymore, right? Forget about this movie. So 3 years ago, right, we watched this movie again, but at this time we're trying to make content. I'm not really reviewing stuff, right? So I don't really think about it. And then I watched it last week because it's a great movie for the third time, right? And because I'm in a position where I'm focusing to analyze and to recap it, I realize how similar the story is. So this was all based on All I Need Is Kill, and it's a great story. A lot of people are gonna say, oh well, it's Tom Cruise, you know how I feel about Tom Cruise. Okay, cool, I understand that's somebody's personal belief. Oh, am I recording? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. I understand that somebody's personal belief, even though they're non-religious, can be offensive to you guys, right? I don't care what you think about, what you believe in, as long as you believe in something, right? Right? You gotta believe in something. You gotta believe in something written in yourself. Live the best thing that you believe in. There's no hope to climb. There's no hope to achieve more. There's no hope for improvement, right? That being said, the movie, what is the movie technically? Technically, the movie is there's a guy who kills a phenomenal being, and that phenomenal being ends up being super important. So why is the phenomenal being so important? Is because it gives him time-traveling powers, right? So every single day he dies, right? He gets to revive, and it's a classic Groundhog Day. So he gets to revive, and then he fixes his mistakes. He fixes what he has done wrong. He fixes A, B, and C until he realizes that no matter what, he won't be able to fix everything, right? So then he starts asking for help, and then he understands what the problem. They have to fight this Omega. So what is really cool here is a system of. Oh, frack! The phone is too hot. The phone is too hot. So we're wasting precious second. That's what I don't like, you know? The phone gets too hot. It's not about how much we can do, it's how much we possibly can do. I follow the wolf pack. There's the beta, which we're fighting. There's the alpha, which is the guy, the creature that he fought. And there's the omega, which is in charge of everything, right? So it's a system that is fine extraterrestrial, but it's still very human or very nature-like. which is something I really enjoyed. But in this odd case, it's also a story of, well, I'm the only guy that knows what's gonna happen, and I gotta get to believe people to believe in me. So at first he's lucky. He meets a Fullmetal bitch, and she believes him because she had the power, and then she helps him get a doctor. And at the very end, the answer was, and that's what I love about the movie. Right, the movie is actually really good, really good. What I love about the movie is at the very end, he realizes Splatoon because again it's army, right? Splatoon was the answer to the day one. If he could have convinced them to help him, he would have won. At the end, that's what happened, right? But then, it's about fighting the Omega. The most of the movie is fighting the Omega, which just take away from the story. I would prefer the story where we get to analyze the mimics a bit more, right? Versus we're looking for a specific one, let's understand the race, right? And the great thing about the movie is that the whole time, right? The whole time, we get a guy that revives, right? And then we get to revive. And it's a very clever narrative plot where they're saying that the guy understands and we don't understand them. So then you realize that the only reason you understand those things is because he saw them, right? And you realize that the reason he saw them is because there's a lot of time where he died and we didn't see him. Then you just ask yourself, how many times does he die? And it's not really answered in the movie, but it's it's up to you to decide, right? Was it 400, 500 times, right? It's the classic Doctor Strange multiverse. So the movie is really good. The fact that it takes its inspiration from a manga is once again phenomenal, because manga has such a rich story sometimes, and they have this rich story sometimes, but at the same time it's a bit odd, right? It's a bit odd because when you look at it, it's rare that we have a manga that's so small. This movie is like 2 hours, so it's not that much. But again, the movie is great. The acting is great. We got Emily Blunt, the wife of John Krasinski, or the ex-husband of Pamela Beasley, or Pam, for people that know her. I don't really have a problem with the movie. It does feel, how can I say that? The movie itself feels a bit unfocused, to be honest. Because the movie starts off and it's funny, right? And then the movie starts off as this quest to find something, right? And then it becomes about this guy. And what I just said, and I mean this, I like the fact that they had this kind of hero that saw it time and time again, right? And the whole purpose of his journey is, I'm the only guy that knows what to do, right? But then at the same time, we have this guy who's kind of a mess, I'm tired, I'm nervous. We have the normal Tom Cruise casting, which is a bit of a silly guy. Think about Mission Impossible, think about The Mummy, right? This is what he is. This is always the same role he's playing. And it's not because, although every single trip to the past and to the front doesn't really matter. What does matter is the change of the character. He is the main character, so when there's character development, you want to see it, right? So that's a bit missing. He started off as being funny, then he becomes this very strong. So what I'm trying to say is, narratively speaking, there's a bunch of benefit to it, right? So we're going the Matrix route, which is basically, I'm going to take a character called Nero, and I'm going to train him. I don't even need to train him because I can just download the system in his head, right? In this case, we have the guy who's okay fighter, right? And then he becomes a really good fighter. And then we didn't really need to see the training, but we get to see that he's stronger and he's better, right? Because we get to see that he's strong and better, and there's a chance of survival, right? And that's the main plot of the movie. That's what's great. The main plot of the movie is that, okay, well, I'm living the same day every single day. How far can I get? How far can I get each day until I reach the finish line, right? That's the important part. But the sad thing is, there's also this psyche. Evolution, right? Now, the craziest thing is, if you look at it narratively speaking, right? You got a Fullmetal bitch. And a Fullmetal bitch, she's that way because she killed 1,000 of people, right? She's not 1,000 people, but 1,000 of these bad creature. But people hate her because she was the only survivor. Then you realize, that the guy's doing the same thing. So you got algebra, you got mathematics, right? So the enemy XX, right? The fact that you're able to be reborn to be reborn every single day is y. X plus y equates to the character, right? The character, call him C, call him B, doesn't really matter, right? So you get a final character, right? Now the problem is, how does this character react to the equation, right? For example, I'm gonna do 2 plus 3 equal 5, right? And I'm gonna do another one, 2 plus 3 equal 5, right? Now what's the difference? Well, one of the 5 is a ton, and one of the 5 is a kilo, right? So a ton is a lot more, right? But the equation and the thing are the same thing. So it's the value that you get from it, right? In the case of the girl, she understood that she couldn't save everybody, and the victory was a lot more. In the case of the guy, and this is what I kind of like about the movie in itself, is the very first morning, everyone dies, and he's trying to save them, and he's kind of saved them little by little, right? And it's kind of funny because they need a big moment that was a turnaround point. So because of the lack of narrative, as the character develops, you kind of create your own, right? One of the moments for me was there's this general, right? And the general doesn't like gambling, right? And then at first he knows that they're gambling, and instead of protecting them, he just gets them discovered, right? But at the end, he's like, he hides a pack of cards. So the reason why he hides a pack of cards, and the reason why this is so good, is because he finally understands that those people can help them, can save them, and can help them, right? And it doesn't matter if they're dying at the end, at least he's helping them, right? And I think this is the beauty of the manga also, because if you know the manga is how a coward, which is the main character, was able to save the world, right? the coward, I think it's what's amazing is the heroic journey. Essentially, I'm getting stronger. So, if you're a nerd just like me, you know what's battle IQ, BIQ, right? Barbecue. Battle IQ is how strong you get and how much experience you get. And for example, oh, I know if I duck here, I know how to recharge faster. I know how to pick up my gun faster. I know how far I can shoot. I know how to use the scope better. I got some training, right? So in this case, it's not necessarily the guy becoming a hero, but the guy stop being a coward, right? And it's the constant evolution, right? And there's instances, for example, right? One of the beautiful thing is they meet this character, right? And they meet his characters, and the main character, which is Tom Cruise, is cocky. So they meet this character, right? And this character is stubborn. He doesn't believe them, and Tom Cruise knows that, but he's cocky, right? And he's able to manipulate his way. He's able to manipulate his way. You know, so I think we all love that. I think we just saw the movie Cry, which was fantastic. We think we talk about Drake Uncharted, Nathan Drake. We think about Wolverine. Think about Deadpool. We think about a lot of anti-hero, right? Just have this character that you're supposed to hate, and then becoming heroic, right? And it's not true heroic action, but it's true saving the day, right? And it's nuts because at the end, does he save the day? Yes. Does it matter? No. No, why? Because if it wasn't for the power, he would have not been able to. And that is the kind of duality of the movie. And the duality of the movie, which is kind of important in itself, right? So you got a hero, and again, I watched it 3 times, and now that I'm doing a review, I'm thinking about it, I'm brainstorming about it, right? So you got this character who, yes, has a heroic journey, starts from being a coward to being a hero, right? But then it doesn't matter because the only reason, it's not strength that made him, it's experience, right? So it's like playing the same game, or playing the same game of chess every single time, and the other player, right, does the same move day after day after day after day. Now, there's going to be one time we're going to be understanding the whole game. Because you understand the whole game, you win. But you didn't really win, you cheated, right? Still, you have to say heroic act, and you feel like you cheated. Now, the question of, there's no edge of tomorrow, the question of it is, does it really matter? Did I say the name? One of my favorite game ever, Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask, which is the same concept of time traveling, right? And it's super important. Why? Because we have this hero called Link. That's what I did there. And this hero, right? He goes into this land, right? And he doesn't really understand what's going on, right? Ooh. There you go. There you freaking go. Dude. That is so good. Yeah, good. Now the phone should be colder. We were able to finish that. Yes. Fuck yeah. So what we're doing is we're editing, right? Because it takes less space. Which, hell yeah. We love these. Because right now we were editing, we were filming, and we were also doing... Well, what are we doing? We're doing the most. Editing, filming, and recording, right? So now we get a position where I'm only filming and recording, and hopefully this can make the phone cold enough for me to continue. Anyway, that's not the issue. That's not the subject. The subject is once again Edge of Tomorrow with Link, right? One of my favorite games. If you look at my tattoos, I got this one, Majora's Mask, and I got this one. Now I know I'm fat. However, right? We're on the way to lose weight, so if you don't believe in this. So in the game, and it's a nice thing because those two are directly parallel. You got the era of Link, and Link is a hero, versus the era of, I don't even know the main character fucking name. I think it's Capital Cage, something just like that, right? And he's not a hero. Well, Link, as a hero, he's trying to save everybody, right? He's trying to save everybody, and he's trying to save. And then the game is about maturing and overcoming obstacle. And the biggest obstacle that he has is understanding that no matter what he does, he will not be able to save everybody, right? So he's going to save them in a different timeline, and you basically get the narrative, but you're always coming back. You always have 3 days, right? And at the end is, well, I wasn't able to save everyone, but I saved Termina, saved the world. So it gives a shit, right? That was the Edge of Tomorrow is, right? It feels, what I'm trying to say, I think the idea I'm trying to transpire to you guys is that it feels a bit underwhelming. See, you take a character and you make him a hero, right? And you take a character and you say, you know what? You don't have a choice. You're gonna be the hero, right? And the character kind of understand that it was inside him the whole time, right? He was always a hero, right? So the hero journey was the journey of destiny. It was supposed to be like that, right? But in our case, it does feel like the only reason that why this guy is doing is because there's no other hope, right? So there's even this part, and the reason why I'm insisting so much on the non-hero, there's a moment, right? And he has this character, which is Emily Blunt, which is a female bitch, right? And she get hurt, right? And we're looking for keys for a chapter, right? And they're looking for keys, and he knows exactly what the keys are, and he hides them, right? And then the reason I give is like, yo, you never make it out. You never make it out alive. So your whole plan was to save the world. Then when you have a chance to save the girl, which there's no romantic interest in, they're not together, right? You don't do it. So what was the point? So, and again, this is shitty, but also quite realistic, right? So you're getting those same days, and you're getting further and further and further, and then you really know those people, right? Now the question that I wanted to ask, and I think it's an important question, is: did he give up? Did he give up? I think there's a lack of information. That's what makes it amazing. Did he give up? Like I'm gonna live the best day ever. I'm only gonna live one day. I'm gonna make it the best day ever. First, I'm gonna save the world, right? And then one of the interesting plot points is he gets injured, and they're transfusing blood into him. Because they're transfusing blood into him, he cannot revive. I know it's really smart. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to Welcome to our show. Today we're also having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. Today is Monday, today's my weigh-in. I'm excited. Before that, we're doing some videos. The video today is The Irishman. So a movie with Robert De Niro. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed that movie. The Irishman to me was really, really good. There's a lot of flaws in the movie, but there's a lot of like pros, and I gotta say, Robert delivered. Oof. I was a huge fan of Robert De Niro. I was a huge fan of him. So we're talking about movie like Taxi Driver, talking about movie like Fighting Bull, talking about movie like Casino, talking about movies like The Goodfellas, talking about movies, a lot of movies, right? Talking about movie like Eat. But then he made movie like, well, the fuckers are good, but he made movie like Dirty Granddad, where he said the N-word, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You know? And it's kind of nuts because this movie, The Irishman, was kind of like a back to the roots, right? So the movie is a gangster movie, right? And we saw it. Now the first thing I'm gonna say about The Irishman, dude, it's 3 hours and a half, right? And it's long. But then when you think about the best gangster movie, right? We're talking about The Goodfellas or The Goodfellas. Think about the Godfather. The Godfather is 3 hours each, right? There's 3 movies at 3 hours each, kind of like a Lord of the Ring of the world of gangsters. So the fact that it's long, it's good. Now, technically speaking, the life of the people changed. So, for example, when a movie like that came, like the Godfather, people had a lot more time, right? They were going to the movie, and it was an afternoon, right? We're gonna go eat at the restaurant. We're gonna go to see the movie, and then we'll just chill, right? So watching a movie that's 3 hours and a half was worth it. But now the busy lifestyle and social media, blah 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 blah, we don't have the time. So the movie in itself feels a bit long at times. It feels a bit long. It feels a bit long because the movie is long. It doesn't feel a bit long because there's not narrative, right? But what is really cool about the movie is talking about a guy who is retired, right? So he's talking about his story. It's like a biography, right? Now, what is really cool in there is there's a lot of terms for historic, right? So the coronation of John F. Kennedy, the coronation of Nixon, Jimmy Hoffa. There's a lot of historic fact for a gangster, right? Now, the reality is how much of them are true, how much of them are not true. I can tell you I'm not an expert when it comes to gangster movie or mafia movie. But there's a lot here. There's a lot here that is kind of great. There's this kind of the negative is we're getting the same cast. So you think about all of those fucking gangster movie, right? And you're seeing the same guy, Al Pacino, what's the name of the guy who played in Home Alone, the small guy? Not Danny DeVito. No. I don't know his name. Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. Yeah. Really good actor too. Robert De Niro. We're talking about a lot of those guys that we saw in the gangster movie. So it does feel like The Irishman is trying to reproduce the magic of the mafia movie. Now, ultimately speaking, what I really enjoy about the mafia movie is La Via Nostra, which is basically the code of honor of the mafia. Right? And the code of honor of the mafia is so good because you're feeling that they're only gangster, but they had pride. They had a code of honor. And again, I think when the mafia was at its highest, when it was at its highest was possibly after the Second War. Most of these mafia guys were people that learned how to live through the army, learned the values through the army, so they kept the values, right? So the Irishman feels like that. There's a lot of like good moments. There's a lot of feel-good moments. For example, they're sitting in a meat truck and then it's like, yo, you're talking to me. Or there's this moment where you give shit to Robert De Niro, like you're talking to me like I'm a fucking dumbass, right? And then there's also this, The Irishman to me is probably one of the most completed mafia movie. So I've watched it a couple times already. I think the most beautiful thing is, of course, you get the mafia, right? And it's something that we saw, right? That's something that we really saw. And then of course you get it's very fat, right? And if you know your shit, you know your shit, right? There's a lot of moments in the movie where it's really nice because, for example, right, the main character, which is Robert De Niro, has a daughter, right? And then there's 2 characters, which is Al Pacino, which is supposed to represent Jimmy Hoffa, and you got Joey Pesci, who plays this gangster, right? And I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. So the daughter of the main character is afraid of Joey Pesci, right? But she sees Johnny Hoffa as this Jimmy Hoffa, sorry. I'm tired, okay? I'm tired. She sees Jimmy Hoffa as this hero, right? And then you got this almost, it's a beautiful thing because there are 2 gangsters, right? One of them is an enforcer, one of them has a tie. They're both crook, they're both criminals, right? So the way she's perceiving them, and I think there's a lot of romanticizing for the mafia. I think a lot of small guy or young guys saw that and they were like, yo, I'm really interested in that, right? And then you got a movie like Goodfellas, which in my opinion was a bit better because the Goodfella was a dude that was from the start, he was into mafia, right? He had a shitty home family, so the mafia became his family, right? And the Irishman, I think the flaw of the Irishman is we start out, yes, the beginning of the mafia journey, but it's not the beginning of the guy's life, right? The guy has lived a couple of life. There's also a problem with time. So you're going to see this guy from, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 to late 70s, right? And although the movie is 3 hours, it feels like we're missing stuff because they're not showing his whole life. They won't show his whole life, right? The movie itself is good. Of course, it's a feel-good movie. So it's a movie, how can I say that? It's complex. I think it's a movie that if you enjoy, okay. It's a movie that follows the footsteps of other gangster movie, of other mafias movie. I think if you like mafias movie, you have to like Irishman. However, my problem with Irishman is if it was my first mafia movie, I don't know if I would like that. I don't know. And if I was to recommend a first movie, I would go with Goodfellas. I would go with Casino, right? And I would go with Irishman. There's also this kind of like it's a shame. I think the movie has an even bigger flaw. So when you see the character of Robert De Niro, right? He's the Irishman, right? And then in Goodfellas, it was the same thing that happened, right? Oh, I can't get made because I'm Irish. I'm not you know, can I get made? And I cannot be one of the top guy because I'm not Italian, right? And I have to be Italian. So it's always the same character, it's always the same Irishman. And you're telling the story, yes, much more details, but we heard this story before. Not once, not twice, but multiple times, right? So it does really feel, and it would be good if it wasn't another cast. Because you're using people like Al Pacino and you're using people like Joe Pesci, and those guys are amazing actors for sure. But you're using the same fucking cast, and because you're using the same fucking cast, you're in a position of I've already saw this. So although there's little moments of the movie, there's very little moments of the movie where you're like, well, you feel like deja vu, right? And it's okay. It doesn't matter if you feel like deja vu. It's all up here that matters, right? However, when you have 3 hours and a half movie, those little moments of deja vu, right, adds up. And at the end of the movie, you're in a position where I saw a new movie, but I feel like I saw it. Right? And now the problem with this, but that's the problem with historical events. So when you make a movie with a historical event, what you're gonna do is you can't change history, right? So you're gonna be talking about certain events, right? For example, but the way they did it is actually really nice. So for example, it's like they're taking John F. Kennedy and they're saying, oh, he was elected through mafia money, right? And then this is something that we saw in other movies. Those are rumors. I don't know if it's true, but something that is being spoke of. But then in this case, they're taking a confessional from Robert De Niro when he's a lot older, and he does like a little comments, like for example, and that's what I love about the movie, right? There's little comments of and that is actually quite nice. I think this is one of the strongest parts of the movie. He has a comment like, he put in behind bars, he went after the guy who got in power. And then he's like, and then he takes a break. And he's like, what's up with that? Right? And this is brilliant because you cannot change the history. You can never change history. However, you can change how people perceive history, right? You cannot change how I'm teaching. The math will be math, French will be French, English will be English. Science is science, right? You got a textbook. What matters is what changes the teacher. And the teacher is the important part. So really, really good. Good movie, would I recommend it? I don't know. Great movie, but very niche. Yeah. Okay, so did you get deja vu? Et pas ça va bien?
Oui, pas.
Ok, c'est bon.
Ça marche.
Ok, je te dérange pas trop. Écoute, moi je vais me réveiller et il fait beau dehors. Pourquoi je passe pas aujourd'hui? Allô? Oui,
Oui, j'ai voulu te mettre à mairie, puis je voulais savoir.
des boutons. Pas grave. Écoute, j'ai dit je vais me réveiller, il fait beau. Pourquoi j'ai pas passé à prendre. Mais pas de déjeuner parce que j'ai déjà mangé là.
Ok.
Mais pourquoi j'ai pas prendre un café?
Oui.
9h15, 9h30, c'est bon? Allô?
Oui, oui, c'est bon. C'est clair.
Il a racheté encore.
Non, 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 c'est bon, c'est clair.
Allô?
C'est clair.
Don't ring, keep waiting. Sorry about that. The phone keeps on closing because it's so hot. Okay, we're back. Okay. Don't Link, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Here's the thing, we're also having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. There's a beautiful sunshine behind me. Today, we're talking about mentors. So lately, we've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, you're motivational, you inspire me, hey, really fuck with the content. Thank you so much for everything. And although there's a lot of people that are really helping me out nowadays with the content and behind the scene, I got a lot of people that are in my circle and I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely grateful for what's going on. But there is some props I have to give. And, you know, I think about people saying that and I feel like a mentor, right? And then I think about the mentor that I had. And the mentor that I had were amazing people. And I wanted to give this video to them as a very simple shout out, right? So we're gonna be starting at a very, very, very young age. Now, these mentors aren't gonna be authoritative figure, right? They're not gonna be authoritative figure. So there's teacher in there, right? Which I'm super grateful that I have a good teacher. The reason why we're not adding those teacher up is because not because they got into the business for helping, right? So those mentor, what really meant a lot to me, right, were because they didn't have to do what they did. They didn't have to do what they did, right? And those mentors were super important to me because, even the teacher, like, wow, you believe in me. I didn't believe in myself, so it was super important. So when I talk about teacher, not about celebrities, because celebrities is super easy, right? Aziz, Rich Piana, Chester Bennington, super easy. And you guys know, and the thing with celebrities is they might be your role model too for completely different reason, right? So then it becomes more of an opinion or a different opinion or, again, a clashing ideal versus giving homage to the person, right? And lastly, when I talk about teacher, I'm also talking about bosses. Because I have some great bosses, I have some horrible bosses, but some great bosses. Now, the reason for that is because, I don't know. I just feel like, once again, they're in the business. So for me, you're in the business to help children. You're a teacher. You're in the business of leadership. You have leadership. The boss that I have, were they great people, amazing people? Absolutely. Was it more so leadership than just genuine human kindness? I don't know. And that is a little bit of an issue. It's a little bit of an issue because you're in a position of, well, of course you want to help, but that's not their job, but their person. It's part of their nature versus something that's just kind. So the first one I'm gonna have to go with Sammy. And I think this is something beautiful and unsung hero. Those people will always be unsung heroes. So I was a kid. Sammy was my first mentor. Was really important to me because Sammy, and again, those people are gonna be they can't even be friends because then those people, if they're your friends, it's funny. Those people, if they're your friends, they have this, and I think for the teacher and the students, the bosses too, they had an interest in you because you were their students or you were part of their class or you were part of their team, right? So I feel like this, it shouldn't equate, it shouldn't work, right? So Sammy, we had a very similar background and very similar humor, and Sammy was the son of an Egyptian mom. You know how it is. My mom's also Egyptian, and it was very, very mama bear. So he would take me aside, and it's funny because I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old and still going to the day camp, right? And he would treat me as an adult, and he was the only one that treated me as an adult. Like, for example, I fucking love Sammy, but the reality is he was a bad influence in the best way possible. Sammy was the very first figure of a big brother that I ever had, and I feel like a lot of those mentors were big brothers. So it's nuts because with Sammy, when you swear, there was this punishment that you have to do 10 push-up, and it would tell people I don't want to do push-ups, I'm not gonna swear. With Sammy, it's like, how much can you do? So he would push me to swear if I do more because I was overweight. So it was his way of saying, hey, exercise faster. Also, he would talk about a cult. He would talk about how he gets girl. Like, he would talk about how it didn't really matter when it was a married woman, or it didn't matter when it was porn. He would talk about porn a lot, right? And again, you would think that this is weird for a camp counselor talk about this with a camp kid, if you will, that was 18, right? And he treated me like his younger brother. And the funny thing is, he would really talk about like a lot of stuff. Like, for example, right? So this is a story that I like to say, even though this is possibly not the brightest moments in my lifetime. But I was at a time with my life where camp was going to be boring no matter what. I was 18 at the camp and I was doing activity that was meant for 13, 14 years old. So I started manipulating them. And I was like, and back then the movie Minions was really popular. So I was like, hey, he wants to be my minion. And then, me. So like, okay, well, get me this pack of cards, or get me a comics, or get me some water. And I would make them my little, But then again, there was no ill intent. It was just like, I'm bored, let me have fun my own way. And Sammy saw that, and he was like, yo, that's actually pretty funny, right? And it was also this case. And Sammy really treated me differently. And again, not the best camp counselor move, but still. So what he would do is, Sammy was kind of like a rule breaker, right? Kind of like a rule breaker. He would say, people were asking for his Facebook. Said the only one gonna get my Facebook here is Stefan because he's 18, right? The reality is like we're close, but then Sammy, and so what I like about Sammy is, again, sort of a bad influence, but it was more so like, this is real life. I'm not trying to be a bad influence. I'm not trying to tell you to do shit. See, I would make jokes and I would push the kids to do things that were funny because I was bored, right? Of course, nobody was injured. I didn't do anything that was crazy, but it was funny. We had this game of it. Jenga. Oh my god, this is bad, dude. This is bad. Now that I look back at it, it was annoying. But if you had a big brother, you know exactly what it feels like. So if we had this game, the most popular game there was Jenga. So I had this kid. Wait, this is so bad. This is so bad. I had this kid sit. Wait, they were playing Jenga on the table, and I had this kid sit at the table. Never playing Jenga. And when it fell, I would make him scream Jenga. or things like. Or I told the kid. Because he was walking very, like, I'm gonna say that he was walking very, like, reserved, right? So I made him believe that cool kid were walking like penguins. So he started walking like a penguin, and this is bad. But then, in the same time, it was his bigger brother feeling to it because people started making fun of him for walking like a penguin. So his whole walk changed, and they were like the original. So he did improve at the end, right? And Sammy also was doing that. So Sammy would also like a rule breaker. He would talk and we would swear a lot. So for example, he was French. He was speaking French. I was speaking French, and we were saying stuff in French. Nobody understood. But Sammy also did some pretty messed up stuff. For example, he made one of the other camp counselors fall in love with him, and he fucked her, and then he left her, which is okay. but then he did it in the middle of summer. So then there's this cold atmosphere the whole summer, you know? And because me and him were so close, I stood by Sam because I'm loyal. But then I felt bad for the girl because I knew that what he did was wrong, you know? But Sammy was all about... Sammy was all about this world is fucked up, you know? One of his favorite movie was American Psycho. One of his other movie was It from Stephen King. Right? So the thing I would do, you know, he was one of my hero because I fucking love the guy. But then I look back at him, there's a lot of things that he did that was not cool. For example, we had a sleepover as I think it was a white night where you don't sleep, right? And he put a movie that was It. And there were kids that was 12, 13 years old that was way too scary for kids, right? I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? And in this case, in a lot of cases, I was being treated in a better way. I was treated in a much better way than other kids. So it wasn't as, I wouldn't complain as much, but it still wasn't cool. It's still a thing that you shouldn't do. That was a bit of a, I wouldn't say a problem, but it was just like, dude, what are you doing? However, we stopped talking. And then I remade another Facebook. I was possibly 21 years old, and I had him back, and he was married. And he was like, yeah, I'm married now. And the way he was acting was very different. He was very matured. So I feel like he was having his bachelor years. I think he was having a last bit of fun before he got serious, and I think that was always the plan. It was good. The second mentor that I had was Simon Twim Gasso. This guy was fucking incredible. But another guy that took me on his wing. So Sammy, then I know what you're saying. Sammy was a position of authority, so I'm not talking about him. Well, Sammy didn't care about the job. He didn't care. He didn't care about the job. He was always making fun. He was always joking. So for example, when a kid was doing something bad, he would give him shit, right? Or, yeah, it was more so that he was kind of the cooler older brother versus the bully. So for example, somebody did something bad. Oh, the girl, which was the girl that he kind of played, she was the one that gives, she was the one to give shit, right? To give punishment. And him, he was always there for if there's a emergency. So for example, emergency, oh, there's a kid missing, then find her, right? But he wasn't constantly, he wasn't a camp counselor, per se. He was just a caretaker, you know? And at some points, like, I really feel bad for the girl. Now that I'm older, I really feel bad for the girl, right? But again, I understand where he came from. And it's funny how this mentor, I should also say that. What he taught me, just to have fun. Just to have fun. I was in a camp, right, where I was watching, and I think it was kind of like not a troubled teenager, but kind of like a fuck you, you know? I was listening to Hollywood Undead. They were swearing a lot. They were saying, it was songs like Undead. Everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Sheen's got a weenie, daddy loves the show. And I was singing that at the camp, right? And I would do that. And the funniest thing is, the funny thing is, I was kind of defiant. I think I was looking for the approval. I would go to camp, right? And I would hold my hands like that, right? And I would sing, I think it was number 5. Just pretend like, because I don't remember number 5, just pretend like it's, everywhere I go. So, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Sheen's got a weenie, daddy loves the show. Bitch, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Sheen's got a weenie, daddy loves the show. Grab beer, shave beer, put on some scene gear, gotta get drunk for my mom, wake up, break up with my girlfriend so I can bang sluts. So I would count down. I was kind of defiant. So he really taught me that it didn't really matter the rules. It didn't matter the present sense of, okay, well, there's this in place, the system in place. I think it was about going against the system, right? In a more meaningful way than just saying fuck the system. See, Sammy taught me to be kind of an anarchist, but not necessarily to hurt others. There's never a time where you hurt somebody. There's never a time where, well, you hurt your feelings, but they were both adult rights. It wasn't a position of power. It was just something mutual. So as they're going against the system, they're always having fun, right? Always having fun. And it's nuts because I remember her, and she was never laughing. She was kind of super serious, and him, he was just chill, right? So he was a cool one. But so the next one on the list is Simon. Simon, I told you guys about Simon before. Simon was just a cool dude. Simon, I met him. I was working at IG, and Simon was really, really a gem. Simon was a guy who really took the time to talk to people, right? And that was leadership. Simon had leadership. So he was talking to me when we were doing I was at the bakery, and we really had a conversation, right? And I don't know why I think he liked me, not in a, you know, but he was like, yo, give me your number. And at that time, I'm like, okay, weird, but okay. I gave my number, and I remember one of the first things he sent me. It's like, yo, I'm coming with a girl. Can you help me out? And I was like, okay, no problem. He said, put me some cookie aside. One of the very first things we did together was this girl, and I was like, here you go, monsieur. I said his real name. Thank you so much for being with us, to keep on coming with us, as you asked, as you reserved. And then, you looked like a fucking G. Which was really fun. Looked like a fucking G. And it was nuts because Simon was also a bit weird. Because he would text me like, hey, this I'm fucking good, so fucking good. Like, hey, we're going out with a friend, you wanna come? Bring $20, right? And I brought exactly $20. And Simon, we went out and it cost like 120 or 150, I don't remember. Because we're a group. And people were like, oh, why did he bring $20? And Simon was like, he brought $20 because I told him to bring $20. And it was always testing loyalty or testing obedience, right? But then Simon really helped me out. So when I had this job, he helped me find another job. When I lost the IGA job, he helped me out. He found me a job. He really taught me a lot. So we would watch movie. We watched together. We watched Citizen Kane. We watched. It's nuts because with Simon, it was like what Sammy taught me about being an artist. Simon was teaching me how to be more professional, how to go into the society. And with Simon, the reason why he did that, Sammy was only for fun. Simon was a beautiful reason. he was very fortunate. He had a rich family, right? And he wanted to give back. He didn't believe in giving back money-wise, he believed in giving back experience-wise. So he would teach me stuff like Theorem Pythagoras, which is basically the basic need, the higher needs, the utmost needs that you get that are luxury, right? That's basically the pyramid. He would teach me stuff like that, and he would get me a job. And then, so with Sammy, we've lost touch because of that. Because we weren't talking with Simon. It was a really bad case. So he had this restaurant, and they would hire me, right? But the restaurant wasn't doing so well. So they would only hire me like a couple days a week. And then what ended up happening is there was a gelato shop next to him. And the gelato shop, it was bad. It was really bad. It was a really bad experience. The guy was nice. I had a lot of coworkers that were really nice. However, the guy was bad because what ended up happening was he had drug abuse issues. So he came in and he borrowed money from him, right? He borrowed money from me. And then, I don't know how he knew, but Simon texted me. And he was like, dude, does he owe you money? Because he owe us money. And I lied. Because I couldn't bite the end that was feeding me. And I think I was still very naive. I still believed that he was going to bring me back the money. See, to me, you owe money to someone only if you don't plan to pay them back. If you're going to pay them back, it doesn't matter if it takes a month or a week. It's still, you don't owe me shit. You don't owe me shit. If I know that you're not going to pay or that you're going to avoid me, that's going to be a problem, right? That is a big problem. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So it was with Simon, and then after that, the relationship wasn't the same. Then the next one was Francis. Francis is a very special case. Francis, you guys heard about him. Shuktu, he was my boss. So again, the rule of boss applies. But Francis was a very different guy. Francis was a dude that had a lot of leadership. He had a military background, and he was running a tight ship. I'm still recording, nice. He was running a tight ship, but it was in a way that, okay, well, for fuck's sakes, oh, it's gonna be disgusting to do. Because then I have like 7 parts of nature corn. I'm all gonna put them together, so it doesn't really matter, but still. So with Francis, he would come and he would choose his employees. So for example, he was a manager, and as much as the winter would go, he would kick people out, and he kept me for some reason. I wasn't the best employees, and he kept me, right? And he kept me, and I got really mad at him because he kept me. But then he was like, "I'm keeping you because I like you because you speak English. I don't speak English, so you're really helpful. You're my right hand man." Right? And I don't understand why I didn't understand what he meant, because then when the summer came back, we had a lot of employees. And he was like, "Yo, these are your guys." And he took a step back, and he wasn't working as much. So I was really mad at him because I was like, "Dude, you're such an asshole. You're such an asshole, because you're kind of using me, right? You're kind of using me." And he did use me, but it wasn't in a good way. So Francis taught me a lot about like just. It was weird because if you look at Sammy, it was about fun. If you look at Simon, it was professional. Francis wasn't in between, right? It was like how to be professional at work but still have fun. Then the reason why I called him a mentor today is because he did teach me a lot about life. Like for example, right? The sole reason why we were able to pass the 8 years, even though we were bullied, I did like the last job that I had. I liked the people. Did I like the job? I think it was cool. It was easy. And the reason that we were able to survive was because of Francis. Francis told me to do the much possible with what I had. For example, listening to music or just being able to pass time faster, right? Now the reason why I call him a mentor is he wasn't really a boss. He was a guy that stepped up. And just like me, he did to me what they did to him. They kept him around because he had leadership. And then they told him, well, you're in charge. We're not going to pay you more. Francis was there for 4 years. He was taking the same salary as I did. But then when something was wrong, they came to him. Hey, Francis, why are you guys doing that? Why are you guys doing that? So he did to me the same thing they did to him. It wasn't a fair situation, right? And that's pretty much it. I think that's the reason why I see him as a leader. The mentor. There's a bunch more, but the one I'm thinking about are either friends or authority figures. So it doesn't apply. So there you go. Those are my mentors. Don't blink. It's your boy. Welcome to the Computer Show. This is being Whoops, having a wonderful day. Oops. What happened here? I think I injured myself. On this 14th April 2025, we have the sunrise behind us. It is a beautiful day outside. It is a momentous day, as they say, in whatever language you're speaking. Today we're talking about a movie review, but we're doing 2 movie reviews. So we're doing It's Raining Hamburger 1 and 2. So without further ado, because we're tired, let's get right into it. So It's Raining Hamburger to me is a really, really solid piece of media, because it's the classic story of a bumpkin from a countryside, from a small town that has bigger ideas and wants to leave the town, right? So the first movie to me was so good, so freaking good. And it's about this guy, right? And the way it's done, it's so nice because he's not really appreciated, and everybody thinks he's silly, and he's so silly. And there's also this intent of his father has a sardine shop, right? And then his father's like, no matter what you do, you're gonna be the one to take the store after me. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna work here, right? So it's about a story of a guy defining his destiny, right? And he figured out the machine by complete accident where he's able to make food rain. So then he can start driving people, and people ask him, hey, can you make this rain? Can you make this rain? Can you make this rain? So then it's a classical genius that nobody believes in. But then they can use him, so they use him, right? And it's always a scene of, okay, well, guess what? I need something from you, so I like you, right? And then it's absolutely phenomenal because the couple people that cared about him, which is his father and a reporter, they both get affected negatively. So for example, his father, which has a sardine shop, doesn't sell as much food. because of the hamburger, training hamburger, right? The girl was supposed to be this genius. She doesn't understand what's going on, so she looks foolish, right? So again, it's a classic story of the scientist, the mad scientist that achieves something. But it's also it's paired with the guy who's an underdog that nobody believes in, kind of way to heroism. And I think it's super cool because it's a character that we like. We're rooting for him. It's the perfect picture of an underdog. And you feel bad because he's getting used, but then he finally gets the love that he deserves, right? And it's funny because there's also this character that doesn't really matter. This character who is the celebrity of the town, right? They kind of gets replaced because he's an asshole. They kind of get replaced by the guy who makes hamburger rain. Once again, it's a system of greed. So then the whole base of the whole story of the first one, again, it's a child movie, but it was still enjoyable. My apologies. So then the whole basic of the story is I'd rather be not known and not loved, but without getting used, than being used and being loved. And then, of course, he overused the machine, so now he can't control it. Then he finds a way to fix it, and then he's a hero once more, but people know better than to use him. Right? There's also the case of he's kind of destroying people, so people are becoming more and more obese, and he's the responsible for that. So you see that, and like, holy shit, I did this. The second one is, I didn't really like it, to be honest. So the second one is this super genius goes to a school of super genius, and then you realize that he's once again the underdog because he's surrounded with people that are super smart. And like, okay, well, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. It's a classic story of a genius that becomes a genius, but then when he's surrounded with genius, he isn't a genius, you know. And then the story is how corrupted geniuses are, and you see the purpose of the first movie was to realize that I can invent a machine that'll get me everything I want: fame, appreciation, love, money, right? But I don't want to do it because the price is too much to pay. So then the whole purpose of the second movie was he's surrounded with geniuses that are way smarter than him and way more deserving of the good stuff, right? But then it comes at a price, and the price is what? Oh shit. Okay, sorry. And the whole price is what? Is they sold their soul, right? So if there's a way to get richer, and they don't care about what's going on, so he's in a position, and I think that's the purpose of the second movie. He's in a position of where he can prove himself by crossing a line, which is morality and ethic. But does he want to cross that line? That's the question of the movie. The second movie was good. Well, that's good because it's like, so you see, you did the same thing as the first movie, which is kind of like the hangover. But then you're repeating stuff, and the payout for the first movie is a lot better than the second movie. So yes, the story of the first movie is good. The payout is great. The story of the second one is good. The payout is less great, right? And because it's a sequel and because it's the same universe, you compare them. So the first one is actually way better. And that's pretty much it's Wayne's Hamburger. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink. It's your Wayne. Welcome to the Company Show. Let's doing also having a wonderful day on this. Oops, I forgot to do the subject. Regarde, j'ai vu aussi. Mohamed, merci mon homme. J'ai réussi, dude. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so what is that? It's focus about the scientist, my mentor edge, one take, perfection, why I have so much, fitting in society, the Irishman, harmless gaming, connect with people, winning hamburger, junk food, perception of old, perception of near future, when does it change stuff? Okay, that's good. Don't link, it's your boy, welcome to the Company Show. This is doing well, so thanks for having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. I watched, today we're going to talk about Lord of the Ring, of course. I watched the three movies lately, and it's funny because Lord of the Ring was, quote unquote, and when I say quote unquote, it was my favorite series of all time. The GOATed series of all time. And there is this kind of really weird thing with fans, where they'll see something for a long time and they'll make fun of it. So for example, the Star Wars fan will make fun of the Star Wars, the cheesy stuff, and they're still loving it. And I was like, what movie can I watch? What movie am I really a fan of that I can make fun of? Because I want to feel that feeling. I want to feel what it was like to do that. See, for example, right? I'm following a lot of content creators that are for YouTube. For Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm tired. For Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're really pushing the context of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is silly, they're banning cards, so it's really making fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're loving it. Or for example, Pokemon, the same thing. So I Lord of the Ring, and I was like, how can I make fun of it? I don't want to make fun of this. But then, I watched them again, just to find something else. I really want to do a video like that. Because again, I think it's a cool concept. It's funny, for example, I'm gonna give you the best example. People that are fan of Naruto, right? And they're saying like, they're making fun of the fact that nobody knew that Naruto was a fan of, oops, sorry. Did we get it? No, it's still there. Did we pop a pimple? No, sorry. What is that? 35, good. think I can. Okay. You see how you're struggling? This is what happened when you start doing an ID that's you got inspired by somebody else versus this is your original ID. This is how bad it is. It's bad, but at the same time, I think the concept is good, right? They were talking about Naruto. People making fun of Naruto because hey, there's only one kid with blonde hair, blue eyes. There's only one adult with blonde hair, blue eyes. The Furokage, so it was written in blood that it would be that. But then again, I think it's fun. So I was watching the Lord of the Ring, and there's a movie that I really enjoy. However, I'll be completely honest. As a more knowledgeable person, because when the first time I was watching them, I was like 14 years old, and I didn't know shit about it. So, for example, we don't even know Morgoth. I didn't know the Hobbit backstory. I didn't know who was really Sauron. I know Celebrimbor. I didn't know a lot of those people, right? For example, Seminarian was a huge part of the lore of Lord of the Rings. So that was, I wouldn't say bad, but it wasn't say good, right? So then, watching the movie once again, it felt so odd. So the first movie, the fact that we spent half the movie talking about how the ring is dangerous and how we need to destroy it, and we spent a lot of time building the fellowship of the ring, just to at the end it's breaking because there's three clans. There's basically Merry and Pippin. There's basically Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli. Then there's Frodo and Sam. So like, why did it community in the first place if it was gonna disband, right? And it would have been more meaningful if it was like they were getting closer. For example, we lose Boromir, right? And Boromir, yeah, kind of is the bad guy for the whole time. But then you realize why he is because you meet his father and you realize that he has good intention. Shut the fuck up. And then, so the second movie, with the Two Towers, the Towers is a bit more, it's my favorite movie. It is my favorite movie, right? But then, at the same time, there's kind of like an odd thing to it. So for example, in the Two Towers, we're really finding out who is who. Like who's a friend, who's a betrayer, who's a traitor, who is helping us. So we find out that Saruman is a traitor. We find out that, the orcs are doing rampage. We think that the human are going to be helpful, but at the end, the ants are more helpful than the human, right? And then we spent most of the second movie getting some help from the Roho Irim, which people from the Rohan, right? Just to realize in the third movie that we're the best army is the Gondor. We spent a lot of time getting Smeagol, which is the ninth part of Gollum there. You should realize that at the end of the second movie, you still get the what should I call it? Oh fuck, I'm tired, guys. I haven't slept, and well, we've been up since yesterday. It's 8:43, so 16 hours perfectly. So for example, right, we spent a big part of the first movie saying, okay, Gandalf is the way to go. Gandalf is a hero. Gandalf is maybe your biggest attribute, and it's even better when you learn that in the Hobbits, Gandalf is part of it. The only person that is in both story is Gandalf. Well, Legolas also, but it's different because Gandalf is there from A to Z. Legolas isn't, and the Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf is there from A to Z. The very first opening scene, I think, as Gandalf. It's been a while. In the second movie, we spend the whole time saying, "Oh my God, Gandalf is dead," just to bring him back. The second movie, we spend the whole time saying, "Oh my God, Aragorn he doesn't want to be the king, but he's the descendant of the king." Just to realize, okay, well, it doesn't matter what he wants, he's still the king, right? So to me, that's funny. To me, that's funny because you're not essentially contradicting itself. And in a perfect sense, it is starting from zero, getting to the ending. So for example, you see Gandalf. Gandalf has to die to become Gandalf the White. So there's a payoff. The Roho Hirim, right? The Roho Hirim. I have a hard time saying that. Aren't the strongest army. But then again, when they're fighting for Minas Tirith, they end up being helped with the elves, right? It's because the Roho Hirim are fighting such a good battles that the elves help. Or another case of with Smeagol, right? It took Smeagol to become this good person for us to care about him, right? Just for him to turn around. Him turning around and becoming this bad guy once again just goes to show how much the ring corrupted him with Frodo, right? So it's a feeling of you used to be a nice person. I said that you're a nice person, but the ring fucked you up, right? And then the third one is perfection. The third one is perfection. However, the third one, there's nothing to say about it. However, the third one, it's a classic case of I can watch the first movie, no problem. Well, I can watch the first movie and understand everything, no problem. I can watch the second movie because even if I didn't see the first movie, we're introduced to the characters and it's still a funny movie. The third one on itself, I think the best of the three. However, you have to really see the two others, and the Lord of the Ring is 9 hours, so then that's a lot, right? That's pretty much it. So yes, I have to go to my father's house. We're a bit late, so I'm gonna go. But I love you guys, and I'll see you guys real soon. So you're done, and you're done. Okay. Father's house. It was a beautiful weather. I'm tired, but we'll survive. So I was like, oh, why not make another video, bro? Why not coconuts? So here we are. And yes, I did this twice because I forgot to open the. I forgot to I forgot to do a bunch of shit, to be honest. But yeah. Tired. Okay, so I know that you want to record. I'm allowing you to record. Thank you for recording. Okay, you're good? You're okay? No, the music is not me. Trust me. Why you always in the mood? Brand new. You know what I got? Do it. Try to play it cool. Not your brand new. And we're back. Don't wait to wing. Welcome to another Bill Compare Show. And we're doing also having a wonderful 14th April 2005. We're supposed to go to sleep. I'm my father's house. Had a bunch of coffee. Pretty sure that's why I'm not sleeping. But we're gonna pretend like the weather's actually really nice. And doesn't matter if I go to sleep now or in a couple hours, right? I'm just gonna film nature. I'm gonna do a couple of videos, so there's some bonus content for the day. Enjoy. Usually we're always sleeping at this time, so this is very special. You feel special? You should possibly feel special. I don't know why you wouldn't feel special. You're amazing and unique the way you are. Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the Compare Show. Sitting off to having a wonderful day on this 14th of April 2025. Look at the weather. Isn't this freaking beautiful? Pretty sure it is. Right. Today we're doing something akin to some behind the scene. But it's actually something that I think is actually quite important. I think it's a bit too important to be behind the scene. So you guys have noticed that lately we've been doing longer videos but less. So I think that what I'm trying to do is again it's something that came out of the video yesterday in multitasking. I started doing this. Okay, so it's a long story. Hi, how are you? I'm a bit tired. Forgive me. So it's a video that we've been. It's natural evolution, I think. So when we started making content, right, we were making streaming content, and then we started making food content, right? And when I look at the food reviews, I love the food reviews. However, I'm at like 700 episodes of food reviews, right? And that's a lot. So I've been starting to do 2 meals, right, 3 snacks at the same time. Why? Because I think it's easier. I think it's easier. I think it's more fun for you guys. And ultimately speaking, I want what you want, right? Which is to have fun. And I started doing 2. So groups of 2. So for example, today is a perfect example. Today we have fitting in society, right? And the need to be social, so collabs, right? Because a lot of people have been asking me to collab lately. I want to crouch on that. I want to turn back on it, right? And it's odd because those two were completely different thoughts. I can put the two of them together. Now, why am I doing this? Because instead of having 20 videos a day, I can have 10. Say the same amount of stuff, right? And I think I'm actually cautious of the time. So for example, right now we're tired, right? I'm gonna do an hour video. So I'm gonna have to do 2 subjects, and it's also like, okay, well, kind of more planning, right? It's easy to go. It's easy, and actually, like, I've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's been so much better because when you have a specific subject, you're like, okay, well, dive in like a sailor at a nailer. You can actually dive in and do a deep dive. But when you have 2 subjects, you have to be mindful of the second subject. So I got the first subject, I'm going somewhere. Versus I have 2 subjects, the first subject has to go in the same direction. They can be parallel, but then they can go opposite because I'm not going to contradict myself in the same video. So I just think it's actually better. I just think it's better. I just think it's more fun to do because you have to be mindful about the second. So you have to be mindful about a general consensus or a general concept, which is, again, with the example of today isn't sitting in society. Not the collab is being social and interacting with people, right? And so you realize that this is it. This is the general thoughts. So instead of having 2 different videos that have 2 different thoughts, you have 1 video with 2 different thoughts going in the same direction. Doesn't matter where they meet. They can meet here. They can meet later. They can meet at the end. Doesn't matter. As long as it makes sense, right? And I think we'll be doing something that's more concise because I think we're always trying to evolve, right? And ultimately speaking, I think it's complicated. So of course, when I started doing content, it was about doing content, right? Then I was like, okay, quality, quantity. But then right now, the way we're seeing is because we're doing a weight loss, right? So today I'm gonna weight myself. I don't know how much I weigh yet. I'm gonna weight myself. Now the first week we lost 15 pounds. The second week we lost 14 pounds. So this week, if I do anything less than 10, it's not gonna be good enough, right? But then again, I shouldn't have expectation because when you have expectation, that's when you get disappointed, right? But there's a clear evolution. Now there's gonna be a level. It may not be now. The roof is leaking my way. It may not be now. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be a week, a month, maybe a year. Maybe it's gonna be a point where we're stopping this evolution, right? And something this evolution is going to come very quickly because right now we're doing well. People are supporting the content. People are loving content. I'm getting more meaningful interaction. I'm getting a lot more meaningful. It's complicated. Yeah, it's more meaningful. Puppies, don't fight. Don't fight puppies. So yeah, so that's basically it. You know, with the working out, it's gonna be the same thing. You know, with the working out, it's gonna be sooner than later, where we're gonna have this loss of evolution, right? Where no matter how hard we work, we're gonna get the same results because there's a learning curve. And that curve is possibly very steep at the beginning, but slowly becomes normal, right? And with the content, I think that this amount of support that we're getting is helpful, appreciated, but detrimental ultimately because you constantly hope to evolve, right? So for example, take a person, right? I'm gonna take the gamer because I really like this. I really like this example. Take a gamer, right? And the guy has been doing some gaming content for 10 years. And guess what? He has a gamer burnout. He doesn't want to do gamer videos anymore, right? So what did he start doing? He started doing other content. I love the bell. We have a freaking church near my house. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a Monday, 12 o'clock, so wedding, maybe, I don't know. Congrats to the newlywed. Congrats to the newlywed. We're hoping it's not the funeral because we just celebrated the bell of the funeral, which is really horrible. So yeah, so long story short, with the workouts, I do believe that we're gonna be reaching no, sorry, see, I'm tired a little bit. With the content, I do feel like the support it's going to push me to be in a comfortable zone. People like this, right? And the person I've been gaming for 10 years has been put in this position of we like this. Now, this person, myself, this other person can get very confident, right? And say, okay, well, my content is good enough. I don't need to improve anymore. Or my content is good enough. I don't need to be trying some different stuff, right? And then he gets tired of doing the same thing every single day because it didn't work on improving the content or improving their general concept of content. So when you're a content creator, right? What is content? Well, for other people, everything is content. Everything is content, right? But then when you get older, you realize that not everything is content. People don't really care about X, Y, Z, right? That's part of life, right? And that's normal. That's okay. Don't get mad at this. It's part of life, right? But at the same time, you have this realization of, well, not everything is interesting or entertaining. What is? See, it's 12 o'clock and look at how much show we have. A lot. So you have to realize, well, this didn't work. Maybe this will work, right? But you're still trying some different stuff. And I think that's it. So I have the extreme luck of being surrounded with people that like me, right? But then again, this luck is very pricey. Because this luck is being very pricey in the sense of, well, they like me, do they like the content, right? Now, liking me is awesome. Liking the content is even better because the content is a limb of myself, right? So you see those two limbs, a arm, fingers, legs, toes. Some of you guys are perv. But at the same time, they're dependent on me, right? I get to give the orders. I get to decide what they're doing. This movement comes from here, doesn't come from here, right? So the content is the same thing. Your perception of content is an extra limb, right? If everything day, your job is to take those two arms and push something, then your understanding of how these work, how these hand or arm can be useful is pushing something. You're not gonna pull because you're so used to pushing. You're not gonna pull, right? So as long as you keep an open-minded, right? But then keeping an open mind means two things: risk. And how many risks can you take before people start saying, "Do you know what you're doing?" Right? And I think that's scary. During the whole thing, there's three times, guys, where we were at risk of being in a niche content. So the first time was for anime, and that's my fault. I was talking about anime a lot, right? And people were like, oh, this is anime, guys. And I do like anime, but not to a point where there's gonna be a whole channel of it, right? And the second time it was about food, doing the food review, etc. Right? Now it's about working out, right? So that's three. And I don't want people to see that because I'm not going to be doing that. You're enslaving yourself to the same train of thought. You're enslaving yourself to push every single day because your understanding of content, right? Your understanding of content is ruled by two things: monetary values, which is in a sense, okay, well, I'm doing this, people are liking it, people are watching the video, people are watching the ads. Because they're watching the ads, I'm making money. Sounds good, sounds great, right? Or you have this other case where it's a fear of not being comfortable. Well, if I change the content I'm doing, are people going to like it, right? And then again, there's this very big fear, this very real fear that, well, maybe they'll see one video they don't like. They'll see two videos that they don't like, right? Then they'll see three videos that they don't like. And then they'll give up. They'll be like, fuck this guy, why am I watching this guy? We're seeing this with Nikocado Avocado. And this is possibly the next example. I'm a firm believer of don't create your history. Don't create your own history. Live through others, right? I don't need to live as a warrior to understand what Achilles did. As long as I understand what Achilles did, we're good. Right? That's the important part. That is the bread and butter of this conversation, right? So with Nikocado tried, and this is actually a really sad story. With Nikocado, right? So this is also what I'm doing right now is also manipulation, and we'll get into why I'm trying to manipulate you guys after. So with Nikocado, he started really honest, right? And he was really honest, and he wanted to show the vegan world and everything like that. And then he got really sick, and he was like, okay, well, fuck vegans. I'm not gonna be a vegan anymore. So I started eating meat. And then a lot of people that was watching him were hate watching him, which was vegans. Say, hey, you're eating meat, you're a bad person. So So then with the original boost of the 8 Watcher, you got a big career. Out of the big career, people liked him, right? And then he got into drama, and people were only watching for drama. So what did Nick do? Nick started to create drama around himself, or creates this silly situation, these comedies, or this circus, right? A la Jerry Springer. And that's what he was getting videos for. So then what ended up happening was that he went to retire. He went to stop mukbang, right? But then I think that he fell in love with making content, and now he misses it, right? Now, what is really sad to see is that Nick is going to take out some videos, right? And those videos are not nearly as popular. So it used to get 200,000 views a video. Now he's back to a 50, right? And he changed his life for better. So we're talking about a guy like Jonah Hill. Same thing. Jonah Hill, funny fat guy, right? Super bad, game to the Greek, funny fat guy. Make this guy skinny. Is he as funny? That's a bit of a problem we have, right? So Jonah Hill had a really hard time finding a job after he lost the weight, right? Which is stupid because he's improving his own life. But nonetheless, those two guys had better the career, and we're back to they're set back. Nick has to put your comments below, put your question below, so he gets more comments. And because he gets more comments, he gets more visibility. Because he gets more visibility, he has a better algorithm. Because he has a better algorithm, he has better views. Because he has better views, he has more money. So what we're doing here. Now, why am I manipulating you guys, and how am I doing this? Super simple. By saying, right, that we're pursuing 2 IDs a day. They might not agree with one video. So the concept of this video was like, sometimes I'll mix IDs together. That way we get less video, that way you get more content, and that way you're seeing one video instead of multiple, right? The reality is, that's true, but there's also another way, which is manipulative. So for example, if there's an ID that you're not really okay with, but the other ID you're okay with, I look like a good guy, right? I can have 1,000 opinion, right? As long as you like 501 of them, you're mainly agreeing with me. If you agree with 499, then we mostly disagree, right? But what if a video had 2 subjects, right? And one of them you agree, one of them you didn't agree. So we win, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be more concise. We're trying to be more thoughtful and more planful, you know? I was thinking about the energy drinks last week and how it affected my thought process and shit like that, right? And ultimately it does. But what I also did was I didn't have clear paths. Like for example, when I started this video, you think I had notes? I didn't have notes. I probably should have notes, but I didn't have notes, right? So if I was to extrapolate even more, I'd be like, yo, if this video had notes, it would be completely different, right? Then this has changed also, right? So we're chasing 2 things which are phenomenal. The first thing that we're chasing is this magic of brainstorming, this magic of we're talking and figure shit out together, right? We're also taking the feeling of this is plan and I have to follow this list of words. We're chasing that feeling away, right? So we're chasing the feeling of being spontaneous, versus we're chasing away the feeling of, well, this is planned and this is not genuine. Now, am I saying that you can have something planned and it has to be disingenuous? No. I think you're gonna have a planned video be completely genuine. It's hard to do. Right? It's hard to do. Anyway, see you guys in the next video. Love ya. Take it easy. Peace. I'm gonna get the wire to charges. I'm gonna give you guys the nature. Ooh, you want battery? Don't worry, I got you. Don't worry. There you go, look at this. Super cool. Anyway. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Considering we're having a fantastic 14th April 25. I was gonna say February, April Fool. Look at this bad boy. Look at this, not me, the nature. Oh, I'm a bad boy too? Wow. Jeez, thanks. Today, sorry, it's disgusting. We're doing 2 thoughts in one video. So again, I just did a video of why we're doing 2 subjects in one. The main idea behind it was that I wanted to have more of a planned approach to the video. I want to do, instead of 2 videos, because we have 28,000 videos, I want to do, I don't know, a more compressed, compressed is a good word, video for 2 subjects. And also I want to have the same train of thought, right? So instead of starting from here and going here, we're starting from here and we can have parallel, but that's pretty much it, right? So the theory of this video is fitting in society and collabs, right? Now the collabs aspect is going to be more so content creator way, right? But then at the same time, it's also applicable to real life. So without further ado, let's get this started. And here, can somebody tell me the band name? You want some peas? Well, I'll have some black eyed peas. So socializing, right? Fitting in society. This video came to me in a way of lives, right? Lately I've been doing more lives. I've been doing a lot more lives. And of course you get some amazing people in my life. You know who you are, you know exactly who you are, and I love you. I absolutely love you. And you get some people that are not cool. You know you are, I feel bad for you, still love you, but a little bit less. A tiny bit less, right? It's kind of douchebag. I'm not saying anything but saying this. So we've been putting ourselves. See, this idea also came from a video that we did last week where I was wanting to be more social. I was craving this social aspect. I was craving this. Okay, well, I wanna get more friends, right? I wanna have a girlfriend. That is also because we're horny, which is possibly not the best reason to have a girlfriend. But hey, call me an honest citizen. Call me an honest, law-abiding citizen. But call me maybe with a little amount of life we have left. It is 12:15. I'm supposed to be sleeping, but nope. So, because we are more open to be social, we're a bit more accepting of the people that are trolls. The normal train of thought would be fuck you, goodbye. You thank me for the last time. The normal thought would be fuck you, you're a piece of shit, right? But now you're like, okay, well, chill. They're possibly just bored, possibly just going through some stuff, right? And then you got your friends that are going through some stuff, and it's you have to be there no matter what their mood is. If they're in a bad mood but they want to talk to someone, you have to be there. If they're in a good mood and they're talkative, you have to be there. You have to be there the good day and the bad days, right? But every single friend that you have came from being stranger, right? Came from being stranger, and that's the start of the day, like fitting in society. My first experience with that was Celine, one of my best friend. Fucking love you, girl. Celine has very low. Well, she used to have. Now it's better actually. She used to have very low self-esteem because she didn't think that she deserved a proper boyfriend. She would like hoeing around. Respectfully, it's my best friend. I can say what I want. She was kind of hoeing around, right? And she would always call me, "Hey, this guy broke my heart." And I'm like, "No, this guy didn't break your heart. You want to fuck? You open your leg. You got what you want. Ciao." What did you expect? You fall in love? No. Stop picking up douchebags. Stop picking up bad people. You'll stop getting hurt. Pick up the good guy. You won't get hurt. Now, I'm a good guy myself now. So, oops. But I meant that, right? But she was always chasing. She was always chasing this feeling of, I'm not single. I'm love. I'm love and I'm appreciated, right? I guess. But then this came at a price, right? She would always get heartbroken. And in my mind, I was also dealing with the fact that we're not being very social. I was dealing with it for the first time in my life with being alone in my apartment, being alone, not working, so spending multiple weeks, multiple days not talking about to someone. Right, which was very hard, but there was two routes. The route of Celine, which was, okay, well, I need some friends, right? Or my mom. My mom is the same way. My mom, she wants to go out. I don't want to stay in. And I'm like, why don't you want to stay in? I'm bored. Okay, well, that's your problem. And I love my mom. I'm not saying this to be mean. That's your problem. You have to find things to do at home to not be bored. If you're bored at home, fix it, right? Watch a show. Find some games, right? But she can't. She doesn't want to. You have to respect that, right? But then we had these two ways, and then I had my ways, which, well, we're alone, we're kind of dealing with the situation. I'm able to entertain myself, right? I got food, right? I got radio, I got games, I got mangas. We're good. We'll never need anything in life, right? That was the other way around, right? But weirdly speaking, and I know what you're saying, and I would agree with you, and I used to agree with you actually. It seemed like the person that's more self-dependent is in the right here, right? Not really, because my mom and Celine, they both dealt with so many people. They both dealt with so many bullshit. And when it comes to social, they're a lot more intelligent than I was because they put themselves out there and they risk it all, right? And that's what we're doing right now with social media. We're putting ourselves out there, and we are in a position where we're gonna meet some good people, we're gonna meet some bad people. Luckily speaking, I've been very lucky with the people that I've met. There's still some shitty people, And then I'm putting myself out there. I'm learning a lesson at 22 years old that I should have learned in high school. To be social, right? Now, do I regret this? No. Is it better to learn it late than never? Absolutely. Is it ever too late to learn some lesson in life? No way. But it's complicated. It's complex, right? There's some people that I don't know, and people they want to talk. For example, there's this guy, right, that I met 2 days ago, and we talked, right, and I had a live, and he talked to me, and then he was bored, so he started talking to me. I'm okay, I gotta work. Okay, no problem, dude. And then the next day he texts me. I'm like, okay, again, and this time, without being a dick, I was a bit more distant. I was answering with yes, no, still being there, but not being as responsive. And then for the third day, it was like, yo, don't let this streak die. And I told, I don't fucking know you. I'm grateful that you want to keep this streak alive, but I don't know you. It's a bit odd, But at the same time, what made this person or this other person more worth it, right? So I'm talking to a lot of new people, and I'm loving it. But why am I talking to these people, not this guy? What has he done? And the answer is done nothing. He's done nothing wrong. So why am I like that, right? Well, because we didn't put ourselves out there when I was younger, and I don't have this much of a social battery, or I don't have this social resilience or resistance. Because again, we haven't gone through shit, right? You guys are seeing me, right? Working hard, working every single day, making video every single day, working out every single day, trying to lose weight, right? And hopefully it shows. But these are all things that you can do on your own, right? These are all things that I can do every single day. And you want to know why I can film every single day? Because all I have to click is the red button, and all I have to click is the square button when I'm done. It's not a big deal. It's not hard, right? Dealing with people when they're good is easy. Dealing with people when they're bad, it's not easy. But what is a more fulfilling experience? Filming a video or having a talk with someone that needs you? With someone that needs you because you're concretely helping someone versus helping possibly someone down the line, right? I think that's important. I think that's really important in your psyche. What do I want to do today? Do I want to focus on myself or do I want to help people? And sadly speaking, a lot more often than not, the answer that we choose is focus on yourself. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? But this explains a lot. So when I was having problem with not guilt, but I was feeling guilty because you guys were so supportive. You guys were so supportive. You guys were we're always being so like, yo, we got you. Keep doing your shit, dude. You're doing so good. Proud of you. Keep it up. And I was so grateful. But then maybe I felt guilty because I wasn't there for you guys. Maybe. I say maybe. I say most likely. But yeah. If I was more there for you guys, I wouldn't have felt guilt. I wouldn't have felt guilty, right? Which is definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. Your body will tell you, hey, you didn't do something good. This feeling of guilt isn't mental. It's emotional. You can't control emotion. Emotions are something that you feel versus something that you think, right? So how does this fitting in? Well, at the same time, it does and it doesn't. It does in the sense of it's a very good lesson, right? So it's a very good lesson in the sense of, well, you'll have to fit in with a group of people, and sometimes fitting in with people that you don't like is a must. Like, for example, with a job, I cannot be on my own because I don't like anybody here. No, make an effort. You're working together. You have to work together. You have to live together. You have to share the space. Try it harder, right? But then it's also a lesson of being there for other people because they're there for you, right? Okay, so this guy was really kind to me. I would like to repay the kindness. So how do I do that, right? How can I be there for this person that was there for me, right? And it doesn't, because no matter how much you know about it, it's all practice. It's all theory, right? Until you do it, it's all just words on the paper, right? It's like a driving lesson. You can understand the book, doesn't mean that you know how to drive, right? And then weirdly speaking, you know how to drive, so you don't need to learn the book in the other way around. That's really weird, isn't it? Is it? I think it is. Personally, I think it is. Maybe you know, but I do. And it's just a beautiful feeling. I did a step up, right? So I tried to fit in. And ultimately speaking, my mom, I was talking about my father and my mom, because they're still important for me. I'm an only child. And they had this very different mentality, right? My father was more so like, hey, you have to do good. You have to present yourself on your best. You try, and then you're gonna get it, right? And my mom was more so like, hey, I'm proud of you for going there. Even if it doesn't happen, at least you go. You're making effort. And technically speaking, they're both right, but it's two different mentality, right? My mom is right. As long as you're trying, it's still a step forward. My father is also right, because the more you try, the more you try, and the more you're unsuccessful, then your perception of success changes, because the success starts from being something that you're aiming for versus something that's becoming unattainable. I am trying to lift this weight, right? And I'm trying. It doesn't work. So then I'm like, maybe this is too heavy for me, right? So you continue to train with lower weight, right? And then one day down the line, we're talking about months, maybe a year after, you go to the weight and you lift the weight, right? So this is success. But then your goal has changed because you saw this as not being able to, or versus beating a game. I was trying to beat this game so badly, dude, and I just give up. And then I felt like playing the game again, so I did one game and I beat the game. It doesn't mean as much because our goals changed, right? So if your goal changed, if your goal is always the same thing, and you always fail that goal, I'm gonna try to pursue it. I'm gonna be changing goal, because there's only so far you can go with chasing the same goal, right? I've always seen people. It's a really weird feeling. I see people spend their whole life with one job, right, or one domain, or one sector of employment, and you applaud that because they're mindful, they're determined, they have, they're able to pinpoint a point and go there. But at the same time, then you hear the story and how much they're failing, right? Like, holy shit, bro, I would give up. Now, the question is it a good thing to give up, or is it a good thing to face something? Then the complicated thing with that is the fact that if you succeeded, you prove all those fuckers wrong. If you succeed, you say, hey, fuck you, I made it, right? But if you don't succeed, then you just spent so long, right? So long doing something that you thought was going to be amazing, but never was. We've been making content for 4 years, right? Is there a point where I thought like, okay, well, maybe this is not for me because I'm not being successful? Absolutely, right? Now, because I was stubborn, I was able to become more successful. Am I a successful content creator? No. I'm a starving artist. But again, the goal is not proving people wrong. I'm not doing this for anybody else than myself, right? I'm going to do this in my life, so I'm going to try to do it, right? This is complicated. And how does that apply with collabs? So lately we've been having a lot of collab ID or offers. And it's a weird thing because I never had that. We had collab, but it was very, very small collabs. I had more collab with people that didn't make content than people that made content, just to pinpoint something. And it was fun because that was the goal, right? But at the same time, I think our content being so unique and so out of the box, I think it's scary for somebody else, right? Because how do I fit in? How do I go there? But lately we've been asking for more collabs. The way collabs is through life. Can I come up to life, right? For example, some of the experience that I had was really bad. So for example, it was this guy. I'm not going to say his name. This guy, right? And he was starting on Twitch. And then he came into my chat because I was playing Fortnite. And he was like, yo, can we play together? Like, I'm like, sure. No problem. At the time, I'm still naive and trusting. And then he comes in. And after a couple of days, he gets mad at me. Dude, you play Fortnite. Why didn't you call me? Do I need to call you to play Fortnite? See, but I wanted to play with you. Well, I say, okay, well, next time. So I'm streaming. And I'm in for 50 minutes. And this guy is like, yo, wait for me. I'll be there. I said, I don't feel like playing with people playing. It's like, what about the collabs? What the fuck are you talking about? There's no collabs. You're waiting for me to play Fortnite so we can do together, right? Which is weird. But then, I had some people who said, hey, when are you doing live, right? When are you live? Just because I went to partake, and I had this other guy wasn't every single TikTok live, but it was always causing problem. Always causing problem. You know, it was bad. For example, he told me that my neighbors, the one on your left, on my right, but on your left, no, that is, I don't fucking know, I'm tired. He said that they flipped me off. So I go in, and I'm like, what's what? Why are you flipping me off? And they said, we never flipped you off. I said, good try, I got you, and I filmed it. And then I checked the record, they never flipped me off. You know, that was the real problem. So why are you doing that, right? So I think that's with collab, just like in social. I think that you're bound to meet some people that have a small versus a big part of your life that are negative. They're negative influence. This morning we were doing my mentors. We did a video about mentors and who helped me and why they helped me. And the very first mentor that I had, I was reminding myself of what we did together and the joke they would make and the way we treat people. And this morning I realized you were kind of an asshole, dude. You were not an asshole to me, but you were kind of an asshole to everybody else. And that's my mentor, and I'm like, shit, that's not cool, right? But then socializing with the collab, it's just that I don't know. There's this feeling of wanting to be independent, right? So you want to be doing things on your own. So weirdly speaking, making content, right, is super weird because you're a company in yourself, right? So for example, this is me. People are gonna be watching me, right? They're gonna be watching me. They're gonna watch what I'm doing, what I'm posting on social media. This company, this is your following company, right? And then a collab, you can merge to community, right? So I'm gonna collab with someone. I'm gonna get some of his fan. I'm gonna get some of my fans, right? And it's gonna be moving together, right? That's a good thing, right? But then there's always this case of how much is too much. Am I able to make content on my own, or do I need to have people on my channel, right? There's this content creator that I follow, which is Cinnamon Toast Toscan, right? And I do like Cinnamon Toast Toscan, but you always have this other guy that I don't even remember the name, I'm sorry, but I'm like, dude, when's the last time that you did a video on your own? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like you're depending on him. You're dependent. I don't want that to happen, right? Or at the same time, I don't want to feel the obligation when I do a live to have people up. There's time where I'm down, there's time where I'm not down. I'm not gonna force myself to have people up if I don't feel like it, if I don't want to, right? But again, there's some people that understand that, there's some people that want it. There's people that want to be live, that want to be live with you no matter what. Even if you tell them no, their answer is why? Why not? Dude, doesn't matter why not. I don't feel like it, right? I'm grateful that you're trying. I'm grateful that you're offering, but the answer is no. So it doesn't matter why. Please, I don't want to, right? It's like, oh, go to the park. No, why? But I don't want to. What do you think, right? But again, you allow those people to come up on your live. You allow those people to be part of the content. So now they kind of expect to be part of the content, and you understand. And it's understandable that they have this fear of, did I do something wrong, right? But there's a day where you're down, there's a day where you're not down, and this is part of being a human being, right? For example, you're gonna be texting your best friend, and there's one that's she's not gonna answer you. Like, why is she not answering, right? Well, because she doesn't feel like it, right? So the social is a bit complex because you're now dealing with people, right? And one of the best things ever about my content is I get to wake up at the time I want. I get to do the amount of time that I want. I get to play the game that I want. I get to talk about what I want, right? But with somebody else, and again, I'm not easy to follow because our train of thought. Sorry, we're playing this. Our train of thought is so diverse. Like this video, right? You think I've planned it? No. So if I was to do a collab and I say, what's the plan? I don't fucking know. So it's hard for them, right? It's hard for them. But then you don't want to impose yourself. You don't want to be imposing yourself in a fashion of, well, this is the content that we should do. Let's do it together. You had this idea. That's a cool idea. I prefer my idea. It's just not good. It's just not something that's pleasant for me, for them. And I think that's the biggest problem. I think that is the biggest problem. For example, and whenever there's a collab, you're grateful for it, but you want to bring something to the table, right? So to bring your own self because they're giving you their time. So to give them your time. And it's just such a weird thing. And send some collabs. And I think when the collabs, and I'm watching a lot of, weirdly speaking, we start having collabs when I'm watching collabs, which is Tammy, Tammy, and Crystal, right? And I love them together, right? But at the same time, I'm able to watch Tammy without having to watch Crystal, right? So it's special. It is special. And I don't know how it works. I do not know how it works. So yeah, I have my neighbors up there. I don't want to bother them. It's just a complex thing. You know, we're talking about fitting in society, and that's important. Fitting in society is important, but at the same time, you want to fit in a way where you have your own place. We're not taking the place of somebody else. And when the collab is just dealing with people, right? And then, like I was talking about with Crystal and Tammy, they work together, so they have this chemistry, right? And because they have this chemistry, then it's cool because they work well together. But then, do you want to have constantly the same collabs, or you want to try something different? And I think that the try something different, I think, is as important, if not more important, because then, so it's like this relationship, right? And you have this girlfriend, right? And then you're always with this girlfriend, right? And then you go to a party, and the first thing that people say, where is she, right? So one time it's okay, but then every single conversation that you have is, where is she? And then you start asking yourself the question, am I not enough? Am I not enough, right? And now it seems like I'm afraid that they're such a way. It's just that it's a really hard thing to compromise. In some cases, it's really easy to compromise. In some cases, it's really hard, right? There's also the long term, there's commitment, right? Well, we did this collab. Can we do another one, right? And I'm like, sure. Can we do a third one? I'm like, sure. Can we do a fourth one? I'm like, well, we already did 3, right? So that's not enough. And then you're the asshole because you say no, right? So I was dealing with a situation last week, right? Where we had somebody up in the TikTok, right? And then they wanted to come up today. Well, not today, but this week. And I was like, no. And then they were mad at me. They were saying no. I'm like, dude, I said yes last week. You should be happy. But me saying yes didn't mean I was always going to say yes, you know? And it's tough. And it's like, we're not getting too much into the details. It's also a question of consentment, right? Consentment. I always feel like, that's my problem. I always feel like I put in so much effort, right? I always feel like I put in so much effort, and then because I put in so much effort, I'm asking somebody to put in that much effort. But the reason that we're putting that much effort is because we chose to put that much effort. Nobody forced us to put that much effort. We decided to do it, right? So for the collab, it's really hard. I got a pimple. When I'm tired, you're gonna see playing with my skin. It's just the feeling of being uncomfortable because I'm tired. Anyway, let's stop this video here. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Hi, Society, the Irishman. I'm gaming. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Culture Show. Hoping you all are having a wonderful day on this 14 April 2025. Today we're talking about survival of the fittest. So grab a seat. This is a low lamp matter. We don't have any lights on the balcony. It is 12:42. Sure that I'm up at this time. But since we're up, let's do a video. So I was at this supper with my father for his birthday on Friday. My apologies. Happy birthday, Dad, by the way. And with my father, he was talking about, and I don't know why, but yeah, this conversation of survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest, and he said it multiple times. I'm like, okay, Dad, we got it. You know? And again, it's nothing against it. It's just, there's only so much, right? And the way he was talking about it, it really felt like the classical work smart but not hard. You guys know how I feel about that. I hate it because it's like, no. You can work smart and hard. Working smart doesn't mean that you don't work hard, or doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard, right? You can find a way to do this better than somebody else. Doesn't mean that just because that's you're better than the other worker, right? You both have the same quota, you both have the same time on the thing, so you know you manage your time like that. But still, doesn't make you a better worker. And then he was talking about the survival of the fittest, right? And it kind of bugged me how it was presented, as in it's, and I do agree to a certain degree. I do agree. Survival of the fittest. The world is a rough place, right? It is a rough place. It is a place where you might not make it, right? And that's part of life. But I also believe in two things: the fact that you can survive if you're kind enough, or the fact that survival of the fittest isn't proper because survival of the fittest is individuality, right? So the strongest is able to survive, the weakest it won't be able to survive. We live in a society where both strong and weak are needed. So it's a case of the strong has to take care of the weak. And then it doesn't really work because if the strong is taking care of the weak, what's the point of being strong, right? What is the point of being strong? So in this case, there's a synergy or there's a symbiosis of the strong and the weak. Now, the symbiosis of the strong and the weak comes in a shape of, well, I was born strong, so I'm gonna defend weak, or hey, I was born weak, but I have to take care of the strong, right? And there's always gonna be this. When I was younger, my father used to tell me some story. It was called El Estado del Fonden, which is fable. So there's this one, right? And there was a cicada, right? Who was singing and playing music. And there was this ant, and the ant, the whole summer, they put food in their their nests, right? And then when it came winter, this kind of like, hey, I'm hungry. And then the ant was like, yeah, but I worked the whole summer, right? And then the lesson of the story is the cicada helped, right? If she worked, she would have had some food. But the other moral is that even though she didn't work, the ant can take care of her. Even though the ant worked, right? Or even the 3 pigs. One of them has a house that is easily blown away. One of them is too weak. One of them has a house that is really strong. And then in the story, of course, it's a story for kids, right? You got the wolf, and the wolf comes in and he wants to eat the pig. So they create 3 houses for themselves. The wolf breaks down the 2 houses. You think he's a pig? No, maybe the real story, but in a story that was told, no. They come to the last pig and get protected. Once again, the strong protecting the weak, right? So survival of the fittest is a flawed concept, right? Now, success of the fittest is something that I'm more okay with. I just have a problem with surviving in the fact that if you're not strong, you won't survive. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Now, there's different type of strength. There's mental fortitude, there's strength, physical strength, emotional strength, social strength, right? And they're all, case in point, important. Then, with the context of work hard, work smart, not hard, the 2 of them together, I felt, when I said that, that's how I do video of the night. It's like, oh, you're crazy, why are you doing video of the night? It's like I got pimples and look how loud this is. So once again, we go in, right? And we go in, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel defiant because it's bothering me. So then, survival of the fittest. What if it was survival of the most clever? Now, you would agree that being smart is being one of the fittest. If you're smarter than other people, then you're fitter than other people to survive, right? You're putting yourself in a position that you survive because of your thinking, right? What if it was the survival of the loudest? So because you're the loudest, you're reaching more people, you have some leadership, hopefully, and you get some survive, right? And then it came to me, survival of the craziest, right? And weirdly speaking, this is where I put myself. So how does it apply? Survival of the craziest is, are you willing to go or do something that other people won't? So you present the concept, right? And because this concept has failed in the past, you're told that this is crazy. So for example, I don't know, I don't know, running or beating a game or doing a math or reading a book in this amount of time or doing a puzzle, it's hard, it's called impossible because you're attempting it. You're crazy, right? But if you succeed, the survival of the crazy works, right? And again, it's in every single case, in the strongest, survival of the fittest, the strongest win, the smartest win. So it's always the best in every single case, right? The craziest is also the winner. And to me, when it's survival of the fittest, it's survival of only a handful of people, right? And you're adding that up, and you're adding that up, and you're adding that up, and it's so vague. Then at the end, you realize that everybody survived, right? So the whole concept of the survival of the fittest is nonsensical. But then again, let's go back to the survival of the craziest, right? What if let's take a more close to home experience, right? I want a video that I make. The amount of video that I made today, the amount of video that I made yesterday, the amount of video that I did the last 4 years, because we're reaching 4 years the 9th of May, which is in less than a month. And then because we did that, we work in a crazy fashion, we work more than other people. Because we work more than other people, then it should be the one to survive, right? Not really, right? So even if you were able to do the best, but you're not surviving, right? And then think about all the people that give up, right? Are they still able to survive? I'm sure they're okay. I'm sure that they're really okay, right? I'm sure that they're pretty good actually. And then to me, this is such a weird concept, but it's such a widespread concept, right? Survival of the fittest, it makes me think about sacrificing others, right? And other people not being able to do it. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I was that kid, and I'm not playing victim, but I was that kid that wasn't the smartest, that wasn't the quickest, that wasn't the tallest, that wasn't the best looking, that wasn't the best talker, right? And I was that kid, and that kid would have not survived, right? And I know that now, but at the same time, there's still this world, this reality, this timeline where that kid survived, right? And even if I had to be the craziest, but you see, the problem with that is, let's say that we're talking about the survival of the craziest. Again, it's a question of meritism, because I did more, I deserve more, which doesn't make any sense, right? If it was the case, it would be the case, but it's not. That's either communist or capitalism, right? You hear about those two a lot. You hear about the communism and the capitalism a lot, but you don't hear about meritism a lot, and there's a reason for that. What do you think it is? I'll let you know. Well, I actually don't know. I'll have to check that for another video, right? So, with the survival of the craziest, right, it's just understanding your strength, right? And to me, this is where the ultimate survival of the fittest lies. You are this person, you're X, you're John Doe, right? And you have your wife, which is Jane Doe, and you both have those flaws, and you both have those qualities, right? Because you work together, because you come together, then you're stronger, right? And the survival of the fittest becomes the survival of the two of us, the most numerous, right? But then at the same time, you never really had to fight. You never really had to prove yourself, because at the end of the day, you're happy. And this is where it lies. What if the survival of the fittest was doing the most you can with what you have? Look at your strength, look at your flaws, understanding your weakness, your strength, and then using this to your advantage. I know I cannot do this. I'm not going to try to do this. And I succeed in doing this. I'm going to try to do this, right? And to me, it's as important because it's as important because you're in a position of, well, you know what? I can do it that way, right? And then you're going back to the sense of work harder, not work smart, not hard. But then work smart, not hard there's no definition for it, right? What if work smart was just working the way you want to work, right? So I know that I have a hard time focusing. But it's the music, and this is my way of working harder and being better at work, right? So is my survival of the fittest just to have music, right? And if my survival of the fittest just to have music, then it also mean that everybody else that needs music to work is the fittest, right? And then to finish this video, because I want to sleep, I'm tired as fuck. It doesn't really matter how you survive, you still survive, right? And in most cases, half the people watching this, more than half, the majority of people watching this, were never in a position where they were at risk of dying. We're never in a position. We're talking about survival of the fittest, and we're getting obsessed with this idea of survival of the fittest, or again, and it sucks because this enabled two traits that are very toxic. Individuality. So because I have to survive, I don't trust other people. I have to survive on my own. And the other toxic concept of, well, if I'm weak, I'm not enough. And there should always be a reason to strive to get better. And at the same time, you shouldn't feel bad because somebody else is stronger than you, right? Genetically speaking, I'm 5'4". Even if I had dream of playing basketball, can I play basketball? Possibly not, right? I wasn't made for this. Understanding that this is not my forte, I'm not going to try to survive in a world I'm not supposed to survive in. It's just such conflicting thoughts, right? Succeeding is also a topic of survival. Which I have a problem with that. It seems a bit extreme, right? There's a lot of trucks. We're going to end the video here. Let's go sleep. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Visiting Wolves are having a wonderful day on this 15th April 25. Today we're going to be playing The Tower, as we do on a daily basis. We're going to be doing some mission. I'm going to be sleeping actually, so you're not going to be hearing me talk a lot. And some of you guys just said, hell yeah, we're done hearing you talk, dude. You talk so much. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be checking out the new event. Yes, today is a new event. So let's go. This is Easter. Ooh, Easter event. We never had this. We never had this. So this is something else. This is something else. So let's check what we have. We have the cash bonus. Thank you so much. Go ahead and earn. Okay, those two are good. Increase our damage by 5%. Hell yeah. Okay, so nothing crazy good this time, but still, you know, it's not bad. It's not horrible. It's not great. We'll see how it goes. Plus, we're getting more missions. We have 5. There you go. See, I didn't finish the mission, right? So now we have to be doing better than this. We have to be doing way better than this, right? Otherwise, it's not great. The event. Not a big fan of it, right? Not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of the skin. Not a big fan of the background. But hey, they did something for Easter, so that's a plus. That's definitely a plus. You know what I mean? That's all that matters. They try to do something different. They try to do something nice. I don't think they're doing a New Year. They're doing a Christmas event. They don't do a Valentine's Day. They don't do a April Fool's Day. They did an Easter. You know, it's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna be grateful for what they did versus what they could have done. I'm gonna be grateful for what I have versus what I could get. At the end of the day, what I have in front of me is worth more than what I'm gonna get possibly in a year. That's 10 times better. So this is the event. I hope you guys enjoy it on this, once again, 15 April 2025. And we're back. Oops. And we're back. Sorry about this. We messed it up. Not badly, but still. Good. I'll take you to the candy shop. Ouch. I got 2 hours. Nice. Oh. We messed up. I have to be... give me a sec. We'll be right back. So you got normal? Yeah, you got pretty good. I have to be back awake. Okay. Darling. So loud, right? Okay, good, finally. So what we have to do is this. Yes, thank you so much for letting me restart. Good. That is proper. Now, we still have to check if I did on TikTok. Because I don't think I'm going to have enough space. 22, we're good. We're not great, but we're not bad. So that's something positive. This, I already did it. It's being uploaded on the other phone. Okay. 29, right? 29, okay. Now, for the shield. We got 3. Very good. We have another event, which is great. Not cheap, huh? About $68 every 3 weeks. 2 weeks is $120. $1,400 per year. Never paid for this game. However, this is the only game that you guys are watching, so we keep on playing it. I still love it. I still like it. Right? It's just that it's expensive. Like, this is a brand new game every 2 weeks. And a brand new game would give me a lot of content. But at the same time, this is almost guaranteed content. You know? You don't have to worry about, oh, well, guess what? People are not going to watch it. Good. Now you are going to come here. Abracadabra. Kind of funny. I found it kind of sad. They're just some dying on the best I've ever had. Abracadabra. Good. Perfect. Okay. You're not bad. So I'm gonna put you here. Today's Tuesday, so I need to do a tournament. Okay, good. Next. Take your next. Okay. 2. Bye. Before we go, sleep. I'm gonna check out the 4 o'clock. Nice. And we working on the what happened to come out, unlock message. Wow. That's easy. First showing that here 7 low, nice. We're going to max out. People are strong, dude. Tier 10, sell, damn, just made some of mine. Oh, my card during the next event. Dude, let me know progress, people. Abracadabra. For down, 4 to go. Oof. People are doing 9.5 hours run on tier 7. How are they doing this? This is insane.